Welcome to the den, everyone. Today I'm going to be talking about my statistical prediction for the Lions in 2021 season. Let's get this started. So we'll start with the receiver core with Tyrell Williams, who have 906 yards and 6 touchdowns. Perriman will get himself 500 yards and 4 receiving touchdowns. Amon-Ra St. Brown will have himself 708 yards and 5 receiving touchdowns. Quintus Cephas will have himself 587 yards and 4 receiving touchdowns. Bolden and Adams Jr. I do not have statistical predictions for. TJ Hawkinson will have 1,006 receiving yards and 6 receiving touchdowns. Darren Fells will have 200 yards and 2 receiving touchdowns. And now we move on to the running back core. DeAndre Swift will have 1,332 rushing yards with 9 rushing touchdowns, 232 receiving yards, and 3 receiving touchdowns. Jamal Williams will have 530 rushing yards and 4 rushing touchdowns with 205 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. Jamar Jefferson will have 208 rushing yards and 1 rushing touchdown. Dedrick Mills will not have any stats. Moving on to the O-line, Taylor Decker allows 2 sacks, Jonah Jackson allows 3 sacks, Frank Ragnow allows 0, Big V allows 4, Sewell allows 3, Crosby allows 3, Stenberg allows only 1 sack by rotating at left and right guard. And the pressure numbers will be low for the tackle position, center position, and left guard position, and moderate for the right guard position. Jared Goff will have a 66% completion percentage with 4,344 passing yards, 32 passing touchdowns, to 10 interceptions. At the defensive positioning, Michael Brockers have 58 tackles, 4 sacks, with 17 quarterback pressures. Lee McNeil will have 40 tackles, 3 sacks, 18 quarterback pressures. Levi O will have 43 tackles, 6 sacks, 35 quarterback pressures. Trey Flowers with 58 tackles, 8 sacks, and 60 quarterback pressures. Jamie Collins has 118 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 interceptions, 1 forced fumble, 69% completion percentage, and 2 touchdowns. Derek Barnes gets 105 tackles, 1 sack, 5 passes defense, 68% completion percentage, and 2 touchdowns allowed. Romeo Okwara will get 42 tackles, 10 sacks, 63 quarterback pressures. And then for the rotational end of everything, Julian Okwara will get 30 tackles, 8 sacks, and 40 quarterback pressures. Jelani Tavai will get himself 60 tackles and 2 forced fumbles with 10 quarterback pressures, 1 sack, with a 68% completion percentage and 0 touchdowns allowed. Alex Awell will get himself 70 tackles and 1 sack with a 69% completion percentage and 1 touchdown. Moving on to the cornerback position, Quinton Dunbar gets himself 50 tackles, 3 interceptions, 63% completion percentage, 15 passes defense, and 2 touchdowns allowed. Jeffrey Okudah has himself a rebound season, getting himself 60 tackles, 2 interceptions, a 62% completion percentage, 13 passes defense, and 1 touchdown allowed. Emmanuel gets 52 tackles, 1 interception, with a 59% completion percentage, with 6 passes defense and 3 touchdowns allowed. Mike Ford gets himself 49 tackles, 1 interception, 63% completion percentage, and 3 touchdowns allowed. Iffy gets himself 29 tackles, 1 interception, 58% completion percentage with 0 touchdowns. Note, Iffy gets himself a rotational job, so he doesn't really get himself a full-time job. And Jeffrey Okudah ends up moving towards being established himself as the future number 1. The Lions will not have to extend Quinton Dunbar. Tracy Walker will get himself 112 tackles, 2 interceptions, 8 pass defense, and 3 touchdowns allowed with a 64% completion percentage. Will Harris will get himself 98 tackles, 1 interception, 7 pass defense, and 2 touchdowns allowed, with 1 forced fumble and a 57% completion percentage. Dean Marlowe gets himself 48 tackles, 1 forced fumble, 1 interception, 66% completion percentage with 3 touchdowns allowed. Randy Bullock has 2 missed kicks, and Jack Fox is a repeat season. Victor Bullock gets 1 kick return and 1 punt return. So now for my explanation for everything. For one, Jared Goff has himself like a perfect replica of the 2017 Rams, but I think with some better pieces. For one, I think TJ Hawkinson is a major upgrade over Tyler Higbee during his rookie year. I think that's going to lead to some extra touchdowns and compared to his 28 touchdown season. I think Tyrell Williams, Rashad Perriman, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Quintez Cephas is a better receiver core than, at the time, bust Robert Woods or rookie Cooper Kupp as his best receivers. And then I think the O-line is also going to be just as good, if not better. I think the only question mark is the right guard spot with Big V, and I think some of that might be solved a bit with some rotations of Logan Stenberg. For the defensive side, the reason I have all those is Brockers has never been a huge pass rush sack person. And the reason I didn't do guys like Hand is I have no idea what the role's going to be. I have no idea what John Penisini's role's going to be. I'm kind of just going off starters / guys who will be heavy rotational players. And Lee McNeil, I think he's proven himself as a good run stuffer, and I think he's going to be a really underrated player. I think he has the biggest instant impact out of our rookies, not named Penei Sewell, but it won't show so much on his stat sheet. Levi O, he's kind of a raw player going into the NFL. I think he's going to be a bit raw, but I think he's going to have some really good plays, and we're going to be like, this guy's the future of our D-line. Romeo Gora, I think, will just fine at the outside linebacker spot as a pass rusher. Jelani Tavai, I think he will show promise and start to show, hey, I can be a good linebacker for you guys. Derek Barnes, I think, is going to be fantastic and end up winning the middle linebacker job. Juno Goro gets in there because of heavy rotation, and I think he has himself a pretty promising showing of he's a good pass rusher as well, and he'll rotate in a bit at the end and outside linebacker positions. Jamie Collins, I think, is going to be fantastic. He has himself a way better defense, and he already has some good stats to his name. Trey Flowers, I think, will be good. I've already had a video on why. Amanio, fantastic player, but I think he ends up being outplayed by Jeff Okudah and Quinn Dunbar a bit, so that allows him to only have such limited stats, but still have some good stats to his name, and him and Okudah will be the 1 and 2 for the 2022 NFL season. And it's not because Amanio's playing bad, the reason it's outplayed is because Okudah, I think, has a higher ceiling than O, and I think Dunbar is just a talented player. For Mike Ford, he's been doing the best job at the slot cornerback position, so that was my predictions for him, and I think he will be a solid slot. I think he has some pretty good size to him and had some good flashes as a corner. Will Harris, I think he's solid. He won't get the huge tackle numbers like Walker will, and he doesn't really flash too much on any of his things, but he, I think, will be a solid player. I've watched some tape on him, and I think he can succeed, especially because he's also been doing good at practices. He's even picked off Jared Goff. I'm very excited about that. Tracy Walker, I think, will rebound. I firmly believe last year's regression season was just inability of Matt Patricia, and also because they actually didn't start Walker for a bit. I think Dean Marlowe might struggle. I did not love Marlowe's tape. He had that one good game versus Miami. That's really it. Afitu just rotate in heavily enough that, he makes his statistical prediction. Randy Bullock had the same amount of missed kicks as Prater last year. I think he goes down to 2 or 3 missed kicks. Fox had a repeat season. It was fantastic. Victor Bolden as a returner, he was an amazing returner back at college, and that's kind of my reasonings for that. He had, I believe, 3 special team scores back at college. If we go back over here to his college stats, please work for me. He had 4 receiving touchdowns, 4 returning touchdowns. So he was a fantastic player, and even one of them he had in 1,000. So he's a very good player, and I'm very excited to see what happens with the Lions next season. And that's the video for today, guys. I might be doing a quarterback ranking video, but I'll see you guys later, and welcome to the den.